Hi, welcome to the Creative Treehouse. My name is Robin Broom, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States. Thanks for joining me in the Treehouse today. Today's project is a fun one that is one of the 4 cards that we made this weekend during a workshop, and it was a fan favorite, so I thought I would post a video here so that you could see what went into making this particular card. Now, this card uses the Meadow Dies, and it also uses crumb cake, Night of Navy, and soft suede paper. It uses the Crinkle ribbon and some daubers and ink, and we're actually going to use a different embossing folder than this one. I believe this one is retired, the wood plank one. We're going to be using the bark one, and we've made it kind of a vintage feel, and we've used the Very Versailles as stamped behind our flowers. So let me run through the measurements very quickly. This where it's embossed is the 5.5 by 4 1/4, and that is the soft suede paper. The blue is the Night of Navy, and it is cut at 3.5 by 4 3/4, and the crumb cake is cut at 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And I think that covers everything. And yes, this is the white crinkle ribbon, and we just I used one of the Stampin' Blends. I happen to use the light Night of Navy, and if you didn't know the trick, you can just go right across it. Here, I'll show you real quick, and I'll move that out of the way. You can see I've recently done that. I like to use the fat brush tip end, and you just slide it across the ribbon, and it colors it whatever color that you need it to be. And the neat thing about it is you don't have to do the opposite side because it kind of just bleeds through. It's ready to go. If you're making this card, I would recommend going ahead and doing the ribbon first, coloring it in, and leaving it to dry just for a minute. The alcohol ink dries fairly quickly. If you don't let it dry, or you use a different ink like some people did in the workshop, you'll end up looking like a Smurf. You'll be all blue because it won't dry if you use one of the Stampin' Right markers or whatever, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to turn into a Smurf in your projects. But okay, so I think that's all the measurements, and of course the card base is the 5.5 by 4 1/4 when it's folded, so because we're going to adhere it like that. And then you can use a crumb cake interior. I think on the weekend I was running out of crumb cake, so I actually used the Sahara sand, and it works as well for the interior. So let's get started on the project and see how we put this together. So we need our crumb cake piece, and I'm going to put down a protective piece for my work surface, and we're going to start with the crumb cake. And we are going to use this stamp set, the words from the Very Versailles, and just ink it all up and put it on there. And it doesn't really matter. I think I'm going to offset it just a little bit, and then I'm going to do another one in here. I'm just going to kind of fill it up with the words. I might actually just stamp off here and get a little bit here like that. And then I also used kind of a filigree frame. I'm not sure what you would call that, but I will also put that on here a couple of times just in random places. So we're going to get that vintage feel. All right, while we have our crumb cake open, I'm going to get my dauber, and we're going to sort of antique it just a little bit, and just using the dauber, I'm going to just make some swirls around. And if you don't want to get blobs, you can always stamp off just a minute so that it doesn't get super blobby on the paper. And like that. I'll just try to make the edges a little bit darker. We're also going to tear it in a minute. and we'll actually go in with some early espresso. All right, so that's looking pretty good. I like that. So now I'll close up the crumb cake and move the dauber over. And now the easiest way I found to tear it is I actually started with a little bit of a crease like that, and then tear. And it just makes it a little bit easier. You don't accidentally just go right down the middle of the paper. So, and I did a little bit. I have an extra tear on my original, and then you can, again, there's different ways to do it. I'm not using a straight edge because I don't want it to be perfectly straight. Oh, that was a nice tear. And you can do it from the other side, but if you do it from the other side, then the tear, you're seeing it on the back side, and you really want to see it on the front side. Okay. All right, and then let's do a little crease on the bottom. And it can be as lopsided as you want it to be. So, and then one more, and then we'll have all 4 edges completed. Oh, that one actually tore in the back and the front. Okay. All right, so now you have that. Let me move our extra papers out of the way, extra pieces. And now what we want to do is we want to sort of make it have burned edges. Now the people that were at the workshop this past weekend wondered if I was going to allow them to burn it, and I said absolutely not. We're going to just make it look burned, and we're going to use the early espresso, which is a lot darker, and it's probably going to be easier to just pick it up and do the edges. I know, I don't think I could trust those crazy ladies with lighter or matches. No, we have a lot of fun together. So I'll do that. Great edges there, all the way around. And we can even let some of the early espresso go into this as well. It doesn't have to be just on the edges. So we'll make it just a touch darker right on the edges. Almost gives you the idea of maybe a treasure map or something like that. Okay, I love that look. All right, let's close up the early espresso. All right, so we've got the background done, and now what we need to do is our flowers. And I used 2 of the Meadow Dye Flowers, and I've already cut them out. And let me locate my other one. Oh, there it is. Okay, there's the other one, and I've already colored this one. Now I kind of went into a little more detail than some people wanted to over the workshop. You can definitely color it with any of the markers. It's a lot faster than what I was planning on doing, and I like the look of this, that it's daubered, and so it has it's not a smooth look necessarily. I just thought it matched the vintage look better, and let me show you how I accomplish that. So for example, if I want to, I'm going to just use up like a sticky note, a post-it note, and I'm going to go and cover up the rest of the stem and just leaving just the flower. And then I'll take my blue and I will dauber the flower. All right, I am actually using a retired color that was just a fun color that was a blueberry bushel, but you could probably use Pacific Point or a Night of Navy, I think, if you made it light enough. But I like the unevenness. I think it looks a little bit more natural if you do it that way. Boy, I got a big circle there, didn't I? Let's see if I can add a little bit more to it. We'll give it rings like Saturn. Yeah, we had some galaxies going on this weekend. It was fun. So, all right. And then we'll do the same with our little flower here. And as you can tell with this one, it's a lot more tedious, a lot more use of the Post-it notes. So, but you could use the blends, you could use the Stampin' Right markers. So we're going to have a light and a dark. All right, and then we're going to move to the Mossy Meadow is the color that I chose, the green for the stem. And we're going to dauber that. And for this, I will cover up the petal end. And you probably would not want to use the brushes because it would be delicate. It'd be very easy, I believe, to tear your dye. Let's see if I can get, there's a little bit of white space. So, all right, and then I'll move it over here to this small petal. And yes, it's a lot more time consuming probably to do it this way than it would be if you just did a marker. But like I said, I really like the look of almost a, I don't know, it's more natural, a little blotchy maybe. Let me go back up here. There's a little bit of white still showing. Okay, so now you've got those. And let me put the Mossy Meadow away. Alright, so that looks good. Oh, you know what I did forget? I did forget my center of the petal. And I just use, I think I use So Saffron for the center of the petal, and it's one of the dyes as well. So, but we'll make it without it, and then I'll add it in the end because the center happens to be in the other room at the moment. All right, so we're going to place this on our navy blue piece, our Night of Navy, and I like to offset it just a little bit, and I also placed this section up on the dimensionals. So let me grab a few dimensionals, and I think 4 should be enough. Let's go for 1 in the center. Okay, pull the backs off, and we will also need our snips to cut the ends of the petals when we're done. All right, I'm going to just offset that. Okay, and all right, here is the 3D bark folder, and I think I'm going to actually I'm going to try the crumb cake, and I may have to go darker, but I'm going to just kind of highlight it. Let's see what happens if I just touch it. Oh yeah, crumb cake will be just fine. Just kind of highlight some of the ridges on the embossing folder, just make it stand out just a little bit more. A lot of it will be covered up. We just pretty much need just the edges. Okay, just in a fairly light touch because you just really want to hit the top ridges. Yes, and I had some heavy-handed daubers, so I may need to replace some daubers. So, like I said, we had a lot of fun. All right, now this is going to go, and I was going to try to make it to where the words were even, and it's the blue that is not even. All right, now I'm going to use the liquid glue to adhere the Night of Navy paper. Okay, well, it's probably a little liberal with the glue, but sometimes with these 3D folders, you want to be sure that you've got a really good connection there, because you've got the grooves and you want it to. All right, looks good. Okay, and now the flowers are just put on with the liquid glue, and the liquid glue has become one of my go-to favorite adhesives. So, and once you get used to it, you can use it in small places as well. All right, and so we'll sit this one here, give it just a second to adhere, and I'll move over to my other flower. We just need a few dots here and there. especially in the bigger places where it's easier to apply it. And once we've got those, a little bit more on that one. All right, turn it over and put that one. Let's make it tall. Should we make it that one tall? I think we should. There we go. All right, and now we need our ribbon, and I've got it attached with a glue dot right here. So I'm going to lift that up, remove my glue dot, and we'll put that ribbon about there. And now I'll be able to use my snips, my paper snips, and cut the ribbon. And I'll also be able to trim the ends of my, probably just one of them, of that. All right, so ooh, that's looking good, looking good. All right, and is there anything else we need? I don't think so. I think we pretty much have it. We're gonna glue this onto, well, except for our poor little center of our flower, but I'll add it at the very end after I've ended the video, and you'll see it on the final pictures. So there, and it will make a difference. It'll just help it to pop. So here is the original with the wood planks, and here is the bark. And if you happen to have this one, I think it works just as well as that one, but I like it. I really do think I like the bark just a touch better. And so there it is. It didn't take too long to make. I love the look. I love the vintage look. I think it's a great use of both the Very Versailles stamps and the Meadow Dies. So hope you give it a try, and if you do, let me know. And I hope that if you haven't already, that you'll subscribe to my YouTube channel. And like I've said before, my goal is to make one video a week. I have not succeeded in that. I also have a new puppy at my house, and that has taken over big time and definitely eaten up my time. Having to puppy sit and watch very carefully. So, but that's okay. It's just part of it, and it's a lot of fun. But I'm still working at doing a video a week. So subscribe to my YouTube channel and see how long it takes me to reach that goal. All right. Thanks for joining me in the treehouse, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hey, wait, if you're still here, guess what? I found the little yellow, the little teeny bitty one. It was right next to me. I didn't even realize it. So I did not have to go to the other room. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue. I probably put too much glue on that one. Let me see if I can wipe just a touch of it off. All right, and we will put our flower center on. Oh, yes. Voila, we got it. Didn't that make a difference? Absolutely. Okay, this time I'm signing off. Thanks for joining me in the treehouse. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.